afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio. We are your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, as well as Abundance Television. You know, we are syndicated worldwide. You can find us on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. I want to thank our wonderful sponsors we have and for staying with us, and so apparently things are going fine. So we are proud of that. With further ado, let's go ahead and talk with your favorite sports talk show host, AP Steadham. Hey, AP, how are you doing?
Hey, good, Donna. Good. You're doing very well. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I tell you what, basketball keeps you busy too.
Oh my gosh, Donna, this is basketball in the state this week. They're hosting the first and second round on the men's side, and so Alabama and Auburn were fortunate to be placed in Birmingham. Alabama has Donna made history, being the number one seed of the entire tournament. They've never been in that position, so that's a big celebration in Tuscaloosa, and for the SEC as well. They have a number one seed of the entire tournament, and they're not named Kentucky. I mean, Kentucky has done it probably a number of times, and I don't know if there's some other teams in the SEC, but I know Alabama. This is an historical moment for them. So Alabama's number one, and they're going to play the winner of Southeast Missouri and Texas A&M CC. So that's a 1 versus a 16. And then their next game will be against the 8 versus 9 opponent. That's Maryland versus West Virginia. I actually saw Maryland play down against Tennessee in Brooklyn, New York this year. And I was there covering the Heisman Trophy. It was on a Sunday. They had 4 games, and I took a train over to Brooklyn to watch Maryland play Tennessee. It was a good ball game. Tennessee held them to a low score in the first half, and they were ahead by 15 or so points, and Maryland came all the way back to get close, and Tennessee ended up winning. But anyway, so Alabama is number one overall seed, so that gets the attention of everybody across the country down as the number one overall seed. And then Auburn is going to be playing, and Alabama's in the what's called the South region. So if they win 2 games in Birmingham Thursday and Saturday, they would travel to Louisville. That's the regional for the South, Louisville. And then Auburn is playing in the 8 and 9 game as a 9 seed, and they're playing Iowa, a team out of the Big Ten, and they'll have to end up playing the winner of the Houston game because Houston is the number 1 seed, and that's in the that'll be the Midwest, I believe. Yeah, it's the Midwest, I think. That's Kansas City. If you win 2 games in Birmingham, you're in the Midwest region. You travel to Kansas City. So Auburn, if they beat Iowa, and Iowa's a team that scores a lot of points, they're in the top 20, I think, for scoring points in the country. Their defense is not very good, but Auburn will have the advantage of the hometown, Birmingham. All the fans from Auburn can travel to Birmingham. So if they win, they'll probably be matched up against Houston, who is number 1 seed in the Midwest. So that's great for the 2 teams from Alabama. And then Tennessee is that would be in the, I think that's the East Division, the East region, I believe it is. So they travel to Orlando, Florida, and they're going to play, the Tennessee plays Louisiana out of the Sun Belt champion. But I think if they win, they play the winner of Duke and somebody. So there possibly could be a Tennessee Duke matchup in the second game. And Tennessee plays on Thursday as well. So that's all those games are Thursday, Saturday. We just spoke about Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee. Yeah, so if they win on Thursday, they'll play Saturday. So yeah, Tennessee, they lost their point guard, and he scored in double digits too. So they have to make up, but we'll see what happens. It gives somebody an opportunity down when you get injured, right? The other player gets to come in, and a number of players, they have their chance to make baskets and play good basketball. So that's the way I view an injury.
I do too, and it gives them the more experience. And then, as one drops out, another one can kind of take over. But basketball, to me, it almost feels like I'm watching a game of Jeopardy. At Jeopardy, things can just change like that. Like Alabama could be number 1 right now; they could fall to almost the bottom within the next few games. You got to keep at it.
Yeah, so this game, Donna, the way you view this tournament, Donna, you win 2 games on a weekend and you move on. Mm-hmm. So if you can win 6 games, that's 2 games for 3 weekends in a row, you're the champion. Mm-hmm. Sounds easy, right? Sounds easy, but it's very difficult. Alabama's never been to the Final Four. Auburn's been to the Final Four once. That was thrilling. And Tennessee, I'm not sure if Tennessee's been to the Final Four in men's basketball. I don't recall them being at the Final Four men's basketball. So Tennessee and Alabama, they still have some goals for, down the road if they can get to that Final Four. For Alabama, Don, I would say since they're the number one overall seed and you're trying to gauge if the season is successful, I mean, this is historic. But for this team to end it, I think the minimum would be to make the Final Four. Maybe I put it in the regional eight, the finals of the region possibly. But I think this team, being the number one overall seed, you really need to make it to the Final Four. I'm not saying to win the Final Four or even win a game in the Final Four, just to make it to the Final Four. I think they would feel very satisfied if that was the case. You can live with yourself that, we had all this success and it was not wasted. We went to the Final Four and all our fans got to be in Houston, Texas.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Oh, and I love Houston. We talked about that last week when you were on the show. And folks in Houston, we always talk about Alabama, Auburn, and that kind of thing. How we fuss and fight with each other to fight to be number one. Same deal in Texas and Duke. When we lived in North Carolina, I'm going to tell you what, people would almost get in fist fights about Duke.
Right, Duke and North Carolina, correct. Yeah, Duke, North Carolina did not make the tournament this year, which was strange because they returned, I think it was 4 players from that Final Four team, and I don't know what happened this season, but it was really, it probably has to be, I would say, one of the most disappointing down because they were the preseason number 1 team, and this is the first time since they've been holding the tournament, 1985, since the preseason number 1 team has not made the NCAA men's Division I tournament. This is the first time it ever happened. So that's a negative record, right? That's something you don't want to be a part of that mark. So yeah, the North Carolina people, they're probably very sad because that's their main sport is basketball, and they had the components to be in the tournament again this year, but they were up and down and they never could get in the rhythm. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's all part of getting the rhythm. So what is Alabama doing this year that's different? Or have you noticed anything? Is it new coaching?
Yeah. I think two things I would say specifically. They're playing much better defense, Donna, because defense and rebounds that travels. I mean, you can have that every game because that's effort. And then they're much better shooters than they were last year. They have a changeover in roster, a large number of new people on the team. There's better chemistry. So you have better chemistry. They're shooting the ball, more consistency. And then defense is every game. They're playing fairly good defense every game. So I think those are 3 things that have worked in Alabama's favor to be a better team. And, they won the league. They won the regular season, Donna. And once again, they won the tournament, which they did 2 years ago. I think they did this 2 years ago. So that's something that's another milestone for them. I think that would have been the 8th time they've won the tournament. Just to give you an idea about Kentucky, Donna, they've won it 32 times. And Alabama's in second place with 8.
Wow.
When the SEC won it 8 times and Kentucky's won it 32. So everybody is below Alabama. And, believe it or not, Alabama's number 2 winning the SEC tournament. So that was another great mark for them this season to win the tournament and the regular season together.
Mm-hmm. We're about to go into a break, but before we go, a couple of minutes, let's talk about your other show. And it's As We See, P and Kelly. And I just wanted to say this: the folks right here are really liking you too. You're playing off of each other, and they do like you, and they really love Kelly too.
Oh, great, Tom. So glad to hear we're on your station, IC Radio, 4 p.m. Central Time, every Friday, AP and Kelly, As We See It. And Donna, we had some fun last week. We had the former LSU NFL quarterback and Major League Baseball player, Josh Booty. He comes from a football family. And we had Noel Mazzoni. And Noel was coached at Ole Miss as an offensive coach, and Auburn and Texas A&M. And he coached at 4 of the 5 power conferences across the country. So, as I said, he does not need to study geography. He lived it. He traveled so much in his coaching career. He coached at TCU as well, but they weren't in the power Five conference at that time. They weren't in the Big 12. So, but we had a lot of fun, and we talked some basketball and some football, and we always like to let our guests have the stage, and they're fun people, so we bring them on. And Kelly and I, we just have a great time every week, discussing issues about college athletics and sports and different scenarios. So yeah, we're excited to be heading to Houston in a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks for the Final Four, Donna. So as a matter of fact, one of these times that you talk to me, we'll be in Houston when we have this discussion.
Where's Kelly from?
Yeah, Kelly's from Michigan originally, around Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, she went to Wayne State University there. She's a big Michigan fan, Big Blue, Amazing Blue. But she's a Kansas City fan. So she had a lot of fun seeing her Kansas City Chiefs win the Super Bowl this year. So yeah.
Have you got a guest lined up for this coming week?
No. It's always like I'm trying to figure out, Donna, especially this time of year, if I want to bring in a basketball person. We might wait a little while till we get closer to the Final Four, but basketball or football guests. So it's always something I'm debating every week on the weekend. I'm thinking, who should I bring in? Because I'm trying to see what's going on too at the same time in this world of sports to make it relevant. So that's something I always wait.
Absolutely. Remember, every Friday, football Friday, we say, even though it's basketball season, at 4 p.m. Central Time. Let's go ahead and go into a commercial break, and we'll be right back in just a minute. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. Let Rhonda at Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC take the burden off you for all your tax needs. I know because Rhonda has been taking care of my business since 2013. I feel Rhonda works for me because she knows the direct questions to ask to better benefit my unique business in order for me to get back the biggest refund possible. Rhonda is an ongoing student, and she knows tax laws are in a constant change every year. Call 256-281-9903 for an appointment to take the dread out of getting your taxes done. Rhonda is located at 11968 U.S. Highway 431 in Boaz. Again, that number is 256-281-9903. And let Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC champion your personal and business taxes.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and my employees and I want to thank each and every one of you for your continued support. With everything going on right now, your rest is so important. That's why we're having the biggest MyPillow sale ever. Not only are my bed pillows as low as $19.98, but you can get the best body pillows ever. Regular $89.98, now only $29.98. Take your rest on the go with our Roll and Go Anywhere MyPillows for only $14.98. And we have our new couch and accent pillows. They aren't just for looks. They have MyPillow's patented adjustable fill that gives you that amazing MyPillow comfort. In this economy, you get the best gifts ever for the best prices ever. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code and you get deep discounts on body, couch, bolster pillows, and so much more, including my original bed pillows for as low as $19.98. Please order now while quantities last.
Jeff McCurdy of the McCurdy Law Firm has been a public service of this area for over 10 years. McCurdy, a member of the Henniger City Council, serves as prosecutor for the town of Sylvania and was named public defender for the city of Rainsville. The McCurdy Law Firm is located at 17326 Alabama Highway 75 in Henniger to better represent his Jackson and DeKalb County clients. If you need to be represented by a true public servant with proven success, call Jeff at 256-996-8701 or send a private email to mccurdylawfirm@gmail.com. No representation is made that the legal services performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers. The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018. Good afternoon. We are back. Thank you so much for watching The Edge on IC Radio. We are your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television a couple different ways. Channel 182 on Charter Communications. Now that's up in North Alabama. You can also find us on television syndicated on Abundance TV, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. I've got AP Steadham with me right now. He's a talk show host and he just does everything sports. I'm going to tell you what. You and my son, my son grew up watching football, basketball. If it's a sport, he was watching it. He would have 2 radios on. He would have 2 TVs. Time. He's in the ministry. I always told him, son, if you decide not to be in the ministry, you need to be a sportscaster. You're good at it, AP. You really are.
Yeah, it's funny. He has a passion for sports. Yeah, I think the thing that always led me to the sports world is the stories about the people. The games, it's always the unscripted drama of sports. I mean, there's nothing like it, right? Don, you watch the game, you have no idea who's going to win, who's going to lose, who's going to perform well, who's going to have a day that they want to forget. I mean, that's why I watch the competition. But the people in the sports, they have the interesting stories, how they evolved, and how they arrived at a school, at a destination, and how they play on that particular day. So yeah, sports has always been entertaining to me and interesting.
Absolutely. I just wanted to make a comment too about how some people respond when everybody's going to mess up. I don't care what you do, you're just going to mess up. And so I remember the old timers when they would mess up. It was almost like they would just laugh it off or laugh and make fun of each other. They led team. That meant they were friends. They were buddies. You know what I mean? They would laugh at each other. How do people respond to things now? I mean, like I said, everybody's going to make a foul up every once in a while.
Oh yeah. Sports, Donnie, you're going to see mistakes. There's no question. It doesn't matter the sport or the competition. So sometimes you're playing against people that you knew since high school. Or maybe you knew since the middle school age, possibly. Maybe you lived in the same town. Maybe you're from the same state and you were on an all-star team together. So you know each other. Maybe you competed against each other in the playoffs in your state. Or maybe you competed on the national level in a camp together since you were young, since maybe the 9th grade. So you know people from across the country. The world has become so small, Donna, because all these athletes, they're traveling since they're 12 years old or so, some of them. So they know all these special players from across their country. So it's not like they fear the other player or there's some mystery. They've played against that person in the past when they were very young.
Yeah. So, that's it. And I love watching the reunion shows. It's almost like a reunion show when you get some of the past football and basketball players and they get together and they talk about the old days such as the event you had a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah, when the athletes get together, they remember a play, they remember competing against a certain opponent, they remember their coach, and they remember maybe even being recruited by their other team, possibly. So yeah, there's many stories, and one side, one player got the best of the other that day, and then the other one followed up the next year, and they won. So yeah, they have fun with each other. Yeah, they know it's serious when they're in the moment, but they understand that it's life, and you can look back and reflect and laugh at yourself.
Yeah, and they're lifelong friends, and we've seen that. Absolutely. I'm glad you brought up recruitment. Are the basketball coaches, are they in the middle of recruiting already for next season?
Yeah, the signing date is, I believe it's April 12th this year, Donna. April 12th. That date sticks in my head. So it's after the Final Four. The Final Four will be the semifinals April 1st, which is a Saturday. The Final Four is the third, is on a Monday. So the signing day is coming up right after that. So yeah, they're out looking at players. I don't know the restrictions if they can do it at this moment, and yeah, I think they can. There's so many calendars to watch down. I'm not familiar with the specific dates, but we know the signing date's coming up. So April 12th. So for those players who didn't sign early in November, there's a week in November, Donna, you can sign as well. So some of the players have signed in November, but the rest of them now is coming up in April. But basketball, Donna, you find players around the globe because it's played everywhere in the world. So you might have somebody from South America. You might have somebody from Australia. You might have somebody from China. You might have somebody from Europe. I mean, basketball players are everywhere, Donna. So that's unique. That's unique about the game of basketball. That we're football is more maybe you find somebody in Canada. You might somebody who came over from Europe, plays in a prep school in America, but more than likely you're not going to find somebody, let's say, you might find a kicker from Australia or New Zealand.
Right.
Football, right? You might find a punter or a kicker from those countries. Or maybe you find one from Mexico or something like that. But basketball could be anywhere. Iceland has basketball, right? Professional basketball and players. And so it's every, I guess basketball, you could say it's every continent, I believe, every continent. You find some. The words football, maybe not. Maybe not.
So what's going to be coming up this weekend for you?
Yeah, I'm going to be watching these basketball games, Donna. Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee. See if they can make it through the first two games. If they win these two ball games, Donna, they reach what's called the Sweet 16, which is next weekend. So you have the two sets of tournaments, the men's and the women. It's 68. They have play-in games down in Dayton, Ohio, in the men's on Tuesday and Wednesday. That'll get it to the number 64, and then they plug those teams in for the Thursday and Friday games, which is the first round. So we'll be watching all these basketball. I'll be flipping the dial everywhere down to try to catch everybody, because all these games, they're televised on I think it's 4 networks down actually. You can get a chance, and then the women's games as well. They have the women's game. Alabama women, they're going to have to head to Storrs, Connecticut to play Baylor, and awaiting them is the University of Connecticut. It plays a number 15 team. So, and then Tennessee's in the tournament, the women's tournament. Auburn's women's team is in the WNIT. WNIT. So there'll be some women's teams we're going to watch. We're going to watch the men's teams, and it's fun, Donna, because there's going to be upsets. It's guaranteed there's upsets in basketball. Because basketball, Donna, is the game of putting the ball in the basket, and some days the ball does not go in as effectively as it does other days. I mean, maybe you shoot 40% one game, 60% the next. So that's what has all these upsets. And you miss free throws, and you make turnovers, and so that's some of the variables that can sway the score. So that's what is up in basketball.
You had a lot of questions that were brought in from last week, and you've answered most of them. So everybody's pretty much on it. But now Charlene also made a reference. She said her daughter is in sports medicine, and she just wanted to say anybody who is out there thinking about tech school or whatever, her daughter went through tech school and then went on to get her degree from the University of Auburn. And so she travels around with the college football teams, sports medicine. So she just wanted me to mention that. And then Ray also came up with something. He wanted to know what your opinion is. Last year you talked about, wait a minute, screen went out. Okay. So you had talked previously about college football players actually earning an income while playing college football. Anything new in that development?
Well, that's Donna. You can be as creative as you can with that name, image, and likeness. All those opportunities. So that's going to continue. I know that the NCAA has not been able to come up with a grand plan that's good for 50 states.
Yeah.
So all these different states have these laws. So they're trying to get the uniformity. That's why they're looking to Washington to get that done through the Senate and the Congress, the House of Representatives.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the best avenue, but the NCAA and the
I
president,
don't think it'll take too long.
right? But they couldn't rally the membership to come up with an agreement, which is unfortunate, Donna, because the NCAA is the member schools, so you should be able to come up with a plan, a uniform plan for everybody. So you don't have those different state laws, or you be able to come up, design something that affects everybody the same way. But so far, they haven't been able to master that situation. So that's still in limbo. So you can still make the money with the name, image, and likeness. And there's these what's called collectibles, Donna. That's when a university has a separate entity, not associated with the university per se. They hire their own employees, and the athletes can find sponsorship opportunities on their own and seek approval from the collective or the university, or you can donate as a fan or an alumnus of the university right to the collective and say, here's my money. I don't care what you do with it, but here's the money that we can attract players. So the collective has to have the opportunity for the athlete. They'll say, okay, make an appearance, and will you give you X amount of dollars? Or you have a fan or a person who graduated from the university. They say, I'm contributing X amount of dollars for this individual specific athlete. So those are three ways I know that people can contribute to the collective or and have the athletes receive the money. But yeah, to answer his question, it's the Wild West. It's still the Wild West. However, you can be as creative as you can think. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, AP, we're going to have to call it a day. Less than a minute, less than 30 seconds left. Anything you'd like to say before we go? About 30 seconds.
Oh, yeah. Watch the basketball. We're so lucky in the state of Alabama to have the tournament. So fortunate that the two teams, Alabama and Auburn, qualified. And let's see what happens. The ball bounces funny in basketball as well as football. So, as I say, my last thing I always say about basketball, ball in the basket. Watch the team that puts the ball in the basket. They're going to probably be successful.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for watching The Edge on IC Radio. We are your source for news and entertainment. You can find us on television 2 different ways. Channel 182 on Charter Communications, as well as Abundant TV, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Thank you so much, AP. Hope you have an awesome week.
Hey, thank you, Donna. Thank you so much. Bye-bye now.
And bye-bye to you. See you later.